All right, hi everyone. A very good evening to all of you, and welcome back once again to another class of IE and IFS for the upcoming JAB examination. This, my dear friends, is mini marathon for module C of IE and IFS. तो पिछली क्लास में हमने मॉड्यूल ए का मिनी मैराथन किया था. उसके बाद प्रकाश सर हैज टेकन अप द मिनी मैराथन of module B. Today I will be covering 100 questions. We will be covering 100 questions from module C of IE and IFS. If you can see me properly and can hear me properly, please give me a thumbs up so that I can quickly start the class. And this will be a quick fire round as you have seen in the previous class. We will be quickly doing the most important 100 questions from the module C. Alright, so please give me a thumbs up if you can see me properly and can hear me properly. Then I'll start the class, my dear friends. जल्दी से बताइए. Alright, I think it's fine. So let's start the class without any delay. Let's talk about the very first question for the day. Question number 1. Question number 1 पे आते हैं सबसे पहले. Which of the following is not one of the positive impacts of globalization on Indian economy? Globalization has provided access to global technology, improving productivity. बिल्कुल सही बात है. It is one of the positive impacts. Growth of service sectors like IT-enabled services, BPO and tourism has led to the increase in employment opportunities. There has been an increase in foreign investment after India opened up its economy in 1991. Yes. It has led to an increase in competition for domestic industries with the imported products. This actually was an impact, or you can say it is an impact, but it is not the positive in a way for the for the domestic industries, because it had increased the competition for the domestic industries with the imported products. So this is not one of the positive impacts. The right answer is option D. Reverse globalization occurs when countries retreat from open market policies and reintroduce trade barriers, investment restrictions, and domestic market prioritizations. Which of the following is not one of the reasons of reverse globalization? The reverse globalization, my dear friends, हमें बताना है इसमें क्या रीजन नहीं होगा. रिवर्स ग्लोबलाइजेशन का मतलब क्या होता है? When the countries close down their economies, when the countries start to close down their economies, that is called as reverse globalization. Rising unemployment in developed economies, yes, this is one of the reasons. Trade imbalance and disputes, this is one of the reasons. Expansion of global digital platform enabling cross-border services, of course it cannot be the reasons of reverse globalization, right? The correct answer will be option C. The RBI Act is divided into 5 chapters. Which of the following chapters deals with the penalties? The chapter number 5 of RBI Act 1934, my dear friends, deals with the penalties. ठीक है जी, चैप्टर 5 जो है वो हमें बताता है पेनल्टीज के बारे में. Question number 4. Which section of RBI Act 1934 constitutes the Reserve Bank of India for the purposes of taking over the management of the currency from the central bank and of carrying on the business of banking? Section number 3. Section number 3 of the RBI Act constitutes the RBI for purposes of taking over the management of currency from the central government and of carrying on the business of banking. With respect to the local boards, specified in RBI Act 1934, identify the correct statements. Local boards are specified in first schedule of the Act and shall consist of 5 members. This is absolutely correct. The members are appointed by the central government for a period of 4 years, not 5 years. Right? The members are eligible for reappointment for a maximum of 2 terms. बिल्कुल सही. The right answer is option C. The Government of India was the regulator for the insurance industry until 2000. However, to institute a standalone apex body, the IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, was established in the year 2000 following the recommendations of Malhotra Committee report. Malhotra Committee recommended the formation of IRDAI, my dear friends, and it was established with its headquarters in Hyderabad. Which of the following statements is incorrect with respect to recommendations of Narasimhan 1 committee? Incorrect statement बताना है. Establishment of 4-tier hierarchy for banking structure with 3 to 4 large banks at the top and at the bottom, rural banks engaged in agricultural activities. This was one of the recommendation. Phase-wise increase in SLR and CRR. No, this is incorrect because the Narasimhan committee recommended the phase-wise decrease in SLR and CRR. So the right answer will be option B. इसके अलावा the committee also recommended the interest rate should be allowed to be determined by the market forces. The banking was open to the private sector and new private sector banks were licensed and started functioning. Alright, the right answer is option B. Which of the following statement is incorrect with respect to the Central Board of RBI? The board is constituted under Section 7 of RBI Act. Absolutely correct. 2 government officials nominated by central government are the part of the board. Yes. The term of member of the board is fixed. That is 5 years, not 4 years. ठीक है, कितना है term? 5 years है. The board members are eligible for reappointment. ठीक है, this is correct. The right answer is option C. Which of the following is not an all India financial institutions? We have 5 AIFIs in the country. These are Exim Bank, NABARD, NAFED, SIDBI and NHB. SIDBI and NHB. Right? SEBI is not one of the all India financial institution. It is a regulator of stock markets. It is a regulator of stock markets. Which of the following institution is not one of the type of microfinance institutions in India? There are 3 types of microfinance institutions in the country. One is not for profit, one is mutual benefits, and one is for profit MFIs. Mutual benefit MFIs are constituted under the Mutually Cooperative Societies Act, State Cooperative Societies Act. Okay. The right answer is insurance MFI, which is not one of the type of microfinance institutions in the country. Which of the following is not a financial institution in India? Financial institution नहीं है. NBFC is a financial institution, pension fund, mutual fund. Chit fund company is not a type of financial institution in the country. It is regulated by the Chit Fund Act, and it is actually supervised and regulated by the state laws as well. It is formed under the Chit Fund Act and regulated and supervised by the state laws. All collateral free loans to individuals belonging to low income households, that is households having annual income up to what amount, are treated as microfinance loans. Loans up to rupees 3 lakh, my dear friends, are treated as the microfinance loans. Very important question. Which of the following committee recommended the establishment of universal bank? देखो सबसे पहले नरसिम्हन कमेटी 1 आई थी. नरसिम्हन कमेटी 1 ने रिकमेंड किया था कि हमें बैंक्स की रैशनलाइजेशन करनी पड़ेगी. ठीक है. उसके बाद आती है हमारे पास नरसिम्हन कमेटी 2. ठीक है. नरसिम्हन कमेटी 2 आती है, वो ये कहती है 1998 में, नरसिम्हन कमेटी 2 1998 में बनाई गई थी. दिस कमेटी रिकमेंडेड द एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ यूनिवर्सल बैंक्स. Which of the following mergers of bank is incorrect? Dena Bank and Vijay and Bank of Baroda, Oriental Bank of Commerce and United Bank of India and PNB. Allahabad was merged with Canara. No, Allahabad was merged with Indian, and Syndicate Bank was merged with Canara. Syndicate Bank was merged with Canara Bank, और उसके अलावा Andhra and Corporation Bank in Union Bank of India. The right answer is option C. यार आप लोग आंसर दे सकते हैं. ठीक है, आप लोग देख रहे हैं तो प्लीज आंसर दीजिए. Which of the following statements are incorrect with respect to the definition of scheduled commercial banks in India? The financial institutions listed in the second schedule of RBI Act 1934 are classified as SCBs. Correct. The SCBs must have paid up capital and reserves of not less than 10 lakhs. No. According to RBI Act, the SCBs must have a paid up capital and reserve of not less than 5 lakhs. Okay. They must satisfy the RBI that their affairs are not being conducted in a manner that is detrimental to the interest of their depositors. The right answer is option C. With respect to RRBs, identify the correct statements. The concept of RRBs was introduced in 1975 based on the recommendations of Narasimhan Group. Yes. These are required to provide 60% of their total credit as priority sector lending. Not 60%, 75%. RRBs are regulated and supervised by NABARD. No, these are only supervised by NABARD, but these are regulated by RBI only. Central government has 50% shareholdings in RRBs. Yes, and 15% होता है state government का और 35% होता है sponsored bank का. ठीक है. The right answer will be option B, only 1 and 4. With respect to small finance banks, identify the incorrect statements. Resident individuals or professionals with 10 years of banking experience are eligible as promoter for establishing SFBs. Correct. Minimum paid up equity capital of SFB is 100 crore, which has to be increased to 200 crores in 5 years, not 2 years. 5 years. This is incorrect. SFBs have to maintain a capital adequacy ratio of 15%, not 7.5%. And SFBs are required to open at least 25% of their total branches in unbanked rural areas. So the right answer is 2, 3 and 4, because we need to identify the incorrect statements. Which of the following statement is correct with respect to the payment banks in India? They neither can lend nor invest in government securities. Correct statement बताना है हमें. So they can invest in government securities. They are not allowed to sell mutual funds, insurance and pension products. They are allowed. So this is incorrect. They can accept demand deposit and issue ATM or debit cards but not credit cards. बिल्कुल सही. They can accept NRI deposit. No, they can't. They can't. So the right answer is option C. With respect to the Monetary Policy Committee, and identify the correct statement. It consists of 6 members with a 4-year term. Yes. The members are eligible for reappointment. No, they are not. Out of 6 members, 4 external members are appointed by the government. नहीं. 3 होते हैं RBI से और 3 होते हैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से. 4 नहीं. Right. The members meet at least 4 times a year. Yes. According to RBI Act, they must meet at least 4 times a year. But generally, हर 2 महीने में मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी कमेटी की रिपोर्ट आती है. द राइट आंसर इज ऑप्शन सी. Which of the following is not a feature of non-scheduled bank? They are authorized to borrow funds from RBI. No, they are not. पहला ही गलत है. ठीक है, this is not a feature. They are not eligible for membership in the clearing house. The facility of rediscounting exchanging bills from RBI is not available from them. Have to maintain CRR deposit with themselves. The right answer is option A. Consider the following statements about the Indian financial system and identify the correct statement. It connects savers and investors through financial institutions, market and instruments. Yes. The formal financial system is outside the purview of government regulation. Nahi. Informal financial system obviously is outside the purview of government regulation, not the formal. Financial markets include money, capital, foreign exchange and derivative markets. Money lenders and chit funds are the part of informal in system. Yes, the right answer is 1, 3 and 4. Which of the following institutions was the first DFI in the country? The first DFI was established in the year 1948 and it is called as IFCI Limited. Option B. Which of the following statements correctly describe the scheduled banks in India? They are listed in second schedule of RBI Act. Yes. They can borrow from RBI and are eligible for clearinghouse membership. Their paid capital must be at least rupees 5 lakh, not 5 crores. And they include commercial, cooperative and RRBs. Right? So the correct answer is 1, 2 and 4. Which of the following was not a feature of India's financial system before independence? The not a feature. ठीक है. Dominance of British banks, of course it was there. Widespread industrial finance through DFIs. नहीं भाई, industrial finance बिल्कुल भी नहीं था उस समय. Limited access for Indian entrepreneurs and presence of money lenders and mahajans in rural areas. So widespread industrial finance through DFIs was not one of the feature of India's financial system before independence. ठीक है. Before independence के बाद ही तो industrial financing शुरू हुई थी with the establishment of IFCI. You remember that. Consider the following statements with respect to RRBs. They were established under RRB Act of 1976. Yes, and the first bank was established in 1975, Prathama Bank in Moradabad. They are jointly owned by Center State and Sponsor Bank. Sponsor Bank contributes 35% of share capital and they cannot undertake deposit function. Of course, they can undertake the deposit functions. They are not like non-deposit taking NBFCs. The right answer is option A. Actually, option D is the correct answer. 1, 2 and 3. The lead bank scheme was introduced to coordinate regional financial planning through a lead bank. In which year the scheme was launched? It was launched in 1969. Identify the correct statements with respect to payment banks. They can accept deposit up to 2 lakh per customer. Yes. They can issue credit cards. No, they can't. They must invest at least 75% of deposits in government securities and they can offer remittance and bill payment services. 1, 3 and 4 is the right answer. Which of the following correctly defines the differentiated banking? Differentiated banking का मतलब क्या होता है? जो different है. That is different from others. That is different from the conventional banking. That is different from the conventional banking. So differentiated banks are those which are specialized banks catering to the specific customer needs. The right answer is option C. Specific मतलब infrastructure, farming, agriculture, MSME. So these are called differentiated banks. Clear? Which among the following development financial institutions was converted into a commercial bank in 2004? It was IDBI that was established in 1964. Later on, it was converted into a commercial bank in the year 2004. In the formal financial system, which of the following are considered as financial markets? Money market, capital market, foreign exchange market. Labor market is not a financial market, of course. So 1, 2, 3 will be the right answer to this question. Which of the following developmental financial institutions was created in 2021 to finance infrastructure? Infrastructure के लिए NAFID बनाया हमने. The very recent All India Financial Institutions. The right answer is option B. Consider the following statements about SFB, Small Finance Bank. They were recommended by Usha Thorat Committee in 2014. Yes. They must lend at least 75% of ANBC to priority sectors. Yes. Minimum paid up capital requirement is not 500 crores. They have the minimum paid up capital requirement of 200 crores. And at least 25% branches must be in unbanked rural areas. The right answer is 1, 2 and 4. पैराबैंक एक्टिविटीज ऑफ बैंक्स इंक्लूड. पैराबैंक का मतलब क्या होता है? पैराबैंकिंग एक्टिविटीज कौन सी होती है जो कि कन्वेंशनल बैंकिंग से अदर फंक्शन अगर कोई बैंक परफॉर्म करता है तो. फॉर एग्जांपल सेलिंग म्यूचुअल फंड्स, लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, हेल्थ इंश्योरेंस, पेंशन फंड्स. ठीक है. तो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन ऑफ म्यूचुअल फंड्स एंड इंश्योरेंस प्रोडक्ट. यस. लेंडिंग टू गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स. नो. लेंडिंग टू गवर्नमेंट प्रोजेक्ट्स इज अ कन्वेंशनल बैंकिंग फंक्शन. राइट. Securitization and merchant banking, wealth management services. The right answer is 1, 3 and 4. Option D. 1, 3 and 4. भाई आप लोग आंसर दे दो यार, ऐसे कैसे काम चलेगा? Which of the following correctly matches the phases of financial system development with its stage? फीचर फेज 1 लिबरलाइजेशन प्राइवेट सेक्टर एंट्री, नहीं भाई, लिबरलाइजेशन तो फेज 3 में जाके हुई थी. फेज 2 स्टेट ओनरशिप एंड डायरेक्टेड क्रेडिट, यस दिस वाज द फेज 2 आफ्टर द इंडिपेंडेंस. द राइट आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी. Which of the following is true regarding local area banks? They were introduced in 1996. Yes. They can operate within 5 contiguous districts. No, they can operate within 3 contiguous districts, which makes the third statement absolutely correct. The minimum capital requirement is not 100 crore, it is 2 crores. 2 करोड़ रुपए की है मिनिमम कैपिटल रिक्वायरमेंट, 100 करोड़ की नहीं है. द करेक्ट आंसर इज 1 and 3. क्लियर भाई? प्लीज कीप ऑन आंसरिंग इफ यू आर. टेल मी. अच्छा चलो मुझे ये बताओ, क्या स्पीड सही है क्लास की या धीरे करना चाहिए? बताइए भाई. Is the speed fine or should I slow myself down? चलो कोई बात नहीं. Which of the following are the functions of RBI? Currency management, regulation of NBFCs, operation of payment system, implementation of fiscal policy. No, fiscal policy is the function of central government, while the monetary policy, implementing the monetary policy and launching it is the function of RBI. The right answer is 1, 2 and 3. In which year were the small finance bank introduced in India? It was the year 2015. Which of the following correctly distinguishes between formal and informal financial system? Formal systems are unregulated while informal systems are RBI regulated. बिल्कुल सही. Formal systems are regulated, informal systems operate outside regulations. अच्छा ये तो गलत हो गया ना, फॉर्मल सिस्टम्स आर अनरेगुलेटेड लिखा हुआ है, ठीक है. फॉर्मल सिस्टम्स आर रेगुलेटेड, इनफॉर्मल सिस्टम्स ऑपरेट, हाँ ये सही है. बोथ आर रेगुलेटेड बाय सेबी. नो, एंड इनफॉर्मल सिस्टम इंक्लूड्स ओनली चिट फंड्स एंड इंश्योरेंस कंपनीज. नहीं, इसके अंदर और भी कई सारे लोग आते हैं. द राइट आंसर इज ऑप्शन बी. Which of the following development financial institutions specialize in housing finance? Of course, it is National Housing Bank. कुछ questions बहुत straightforward, बहुत easy हैं, कुछ questions थोड़े से अच्छे हैं. In which year digital banking units were launched to offer 24/7 paperless and cashless banking services across India? Digital banking units was launched as the part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav in the year 2022, and the target was to establish 75 digital banking units across the country in the same year. Consider the following statements about the RBI Act and identify the correct statements. It was passed in 1933 and came into effect in 1935. No, it was passed in 1934 and came into effect in 1935, and RBI started its operation on 1st of April 1935. Clear? RBI was initially a private entity with 5 crore paid up capital. Yes, it was nationalized in 1949 and it served as Pakistan Central Bank until 1948, not 50. और 1948 के बाद फिर स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान बन गया था, and that bank assumed the central banking functions of Pakistan. ठीक है, this is incorrect. The right answer is option D, 2 and 3. Which of the following are the objectives of the RBI Act 1934? Regulate issue of banknotes. Regulate issue of banknotes. Yes. Maintain reserves for monetary stability. Promote foreign trade. No, it does not directly promote the foreign trade. Operate credit and currency system to India's advantage. 1, 2 and 4. Regarding Chapter 2 of RBI Act, which of the following are true? RBI is constituted as a body corporate. Yes, it is. RBI is fully owned by the government of India. Yes, the central board must meet monthly. Not monthly, they must meet quarterly according to the RBI Act. This is incorrect. Local board exists for 4 territorial areas. 1, 2 and 4. Which of the following are permitted under Section 17 of RBI Act? Lending to banks, rediscounting bill, accepting deposit, trading in shares. RBI cannot do trading in shares. The right answer is 1, 3 and 4, and not even its officers. Consider the following statement about RBI's currency function and identify the correct statement. RBI has sole authority to issue banknotes. Notes up to 10,000 denomination can be issued. RBI notes are legal tender. RBI can demonetize notes without government approval. No, they can't. डीमोनेटाइजेशन के लिए गवर्नमेंट का, सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट का अप्रूवल चाहिए होता है आरबीआई को. 1, 2 and 3. Which of the following are covered under Chapter 3 of the RBI Act? Chapter 3 of the RBI Act deals with forex management, CRR requirements, monetary policy committee, and not the RBI's liquidation process. RBI liquidation process is dealt in Chapter 4 of the RBI Act of 1934. The right answer is 1, 2 and 3. Which statement about the Banking Regulation Act 1949 are correct? It was originally part of the Indian Companies Act. Yes, it was. It prohibits bank from trading in goods. Yes, it does so. It defines banking and banking company under section 5B and 5C. It allows licensing of banks and branches. All of the above are the correct statements about the Banking Regulation Act of 1949. Which of the following are true about RBI's powers under Banking Regulation Act? RBI can appoint managing agents. No, that is in fact illegal. It is illegal to appoint the managing agents. RBI can supersede a bank's board. Yes, under section 36 ACA. RBI can direct insolvency under IBC. Yes, and RBI can inspect banks. Of course, it can. 2, 3, and 4 is the right answer. Consider the following statements about cooperative banks under Banking Regulation Act. RBI regulates licensing and regulation. Yes, it does. State registrars manage formation and governance. 2020 amendment strengthened the RBI powers. 1, 2, and 3 is the right answer. Which of the following are true about nomination facilities under Banking Regulation Act? तो 3 sections ऐसे हैं जो कि nomination facilities से deal करते हैं और वो है section 45ZA that allows nomination for deposit, ZC cover safe custody article, ZE related to local access. There is no such section 45ZF that relates to check clearing. The right answer is 1, 2, and 3, option C. So 50 questions are done, my dear friends. Tell me if the speed of the class is fine. भाई आप लोग बता ही नहीं रहे, कुछ तो कमेंट में बताओ, लाइव चैट बॉक्स में कुछ तो बताओ कि सही चल रही है क्लास, खराब चल रही है, कुछ नहीं चमक रहा, कुछ चमक रहा है, कुछ तो बताओ. बताओ भाई. ठीक है, चलिए आगे चलते हैं. क्वेश्चन नंबर 51. When did RBI begin operations? It began operations on 1st of April 1935. Which section of RBI Act gives RBI the sole authority to issue the banknotes? Section 22 of the RBI Act give RBI the sole authority to issue the banknotes. What does Section 42 of RBI Act deal with? Section 42 of the RBI Act, my dear friends, deals with the reserve requirements. तो इनमें से जो best answer है that is CRR requirements. Which chapter of the RBI Act deals with the penalties? Chapter number 5. This section of Banking Regulation Act defines banking. So as I just told you, Section 5B defines banking. And Section 5C defines the banking company. Banking company. Clear? What is the minimum percentage of directors with relevant expertise required under Section 16 of Banking Regulation Act? That is 51%. 51% minimum percent of directors होने चाहिए with relevant expertise. Clear? Which section of Banking Regulation Act allows RBI to issue binding direction to banks? So RBI can issue binding direction to bank under Section 35A of the Banking Regulation Act of 1949 that came into force on 16th of March 1949. ये डेट भी याद रखेंगे. Which section prohibit banks from trading in goods? Section 8 prohibits bank from the trading in goods. Which section of Banking Regulation Act allows RBI to supersede a bank's board? I just told you this. Section 36 ACA allows RBI of Banking Regulation Act, not RBI Act, of Banking Regulation Act allows RBI to supersede a bank's board. Clear? Next question. Which section of Banking Regulation Act provides that only banks can accept the check withdrawable deposits? It is section number 49A. Section number 49A provides that only banks can accept the check withdrawable deposits. Consider the following statements with respect to DFIs and identify the correct statement. DFIs provide long-term finance for industrial and infrastructure development. Yes. They emerged because commercial banks were focused on short-term lending. Yes. ICICI was India's first DFI established in 1955. Not ICICI, it was IFCI which was the first DFI. ICICI though indeed was established in 1955. Narasimhan committee recommended phasing out DFIs. The right answer is option D. Consider the following statements about the IDBI and identify the correct statements. It was set up in 1964 as a subsidiary of RBI. It became fully government owned in 1976. It acted as the apex DFI coordinating with other financial institutions and it was merged with ICICI Bank in 2002. No, ICICI Bank जो था वो ICICI ने बनाया था और उसके बाद ICICI जाके जो है ICICI बैंक में मर्ज हो गया था. बट IDBI जो है वो अलग से बैंक बना गया था in the year 2004. Right answer is 1, 2, and 3. With reference to SIDBI, consider the following statements and identify which one are incorrect. It was established in 1990 under the SIDBI Act. Yes, it acts as an apex financial institution for housing sector. Of course not. It acts as an apex financial institution for MSME sector. It provides refinance to banks and NBFCs for MSME loans. Yes, it is headquartered in Lucknow, not Mumbai. It is headquartered in Lucknow. The right answer is 2 and 4. Consider the following statements regarding NAFED and identify the correct statements. It was established under a special act of parliament in 2021. Yes. It provides long-term infrastructure finance. It is one of the AIFIs. Yes. And its authorized capital is 1 lakh crore. All of them are absolutely correct. The right answer is option C. Clear hai bhai? Consider the following statements regarding NABARD and identify the correct statements. It was established in 1982 based on the Graphic Art Committee recommendation. It took over functions of ARDC and RBI's Agriculture Credit Department. It supervises RRBs and cooperative banks. It is headquartered in Mumbai. NABARD is headquartered in Mumbai. बी सिवरमन कमेटी थी. बी सिवरमन कमेटी ने इसको रिकमेंड किया था, इसके एस्टैब्लिशमेंट को. ठीक है. एंड ऑन 12th of July 1982, डेट याद रखना, NABARD की डेट पूछ ली जाती है कई बार. NABARD was established on 12th of July 1982. 1, 2 and 3. Consider the following statements about ICICI and identify the incorrect statements. It functions as a statutory body under ICICI Act. It was established in 1955 with the World Bank support. It set up ICICI Bank in 1994 and merged with it in 2002. ठीक है, ये भी सही है. It promoted institutions like SDFC and CRISIL. ये भी ठीक है. नहीं, आई थिंक ये जो फर्स्ट स्टेटमेंट स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी थोड़ी है, स्टैट्यूटरी बॉडी नहीं है, ये तो कॉर्पोरेट बॉडी है ना भाई, इसके लिए कोई एक्ट पास नहीं हुआ था. यस, थोड़ा ध्यान से देखना होता है इसीलिए क्वेश्चंस को हमें. राइट, द राइट आंसर इज 2, 3 and 4. Which of the following statements is incorrect? In 1926, Royal Commission on Indian Currency and Finance recommends a central bank. In 1927, first RBI bill introduced, later withdrawn. Yes. और फिर उसके बाद 1933 में दोबारा पेश हुआ था, 1934 में पास हो गया था और came into force 1935. Clear? On 1st April 1935, RBI begins operation with 5 crore paid up capital. In 1945, RBI seizes role as Burma's central bank. Not actually 1945, but in 1942. Which of the following sections of RBI Act prohibits RBI from trading industrial activities, share or property lending beyond permitted scope? It is section number 18. Which chapter of RBI Act deals with NBFC's registration, capital norms and inspection? So chapter 3ABC करके काफी सारे chapters हैं. So chapter number 3B deals with NBFC's registration, capital norms and inspection. Under which section of RBI Act 1934 RBI publishes bank rate? It publishes bank rate under section 49. What is the maximum denomination of banknote allowed under section 24 of RBI Act? It is 10,000, of course. That is very easy. That is very easy. Under the Banking Regulation Act, which section empowers RBI to give direction to banks in public interest? Under section 35A, RBI can give directions to banks in the public interest. Which DFI is known for financing India's foreign trade and providing lines of credit? Foreign trade की बात हो रही है, so we have only one such all India financial institution, that is Export and Import Bank, and it was also established in the year 1982, same as that of NABARD. What was the authorized capital of the IDBI when it was established in 1964? The authorized capital was just 500 crores. The Banking Regulation Act came into force on, I just told you this, 16 March 1949. ठीक है, 16 मार्च 1949 को द बैंकिंग रेगुलेशन एक्ट केम इनटू फोर्स. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इंस्टीट्यूशंस वाज प्रमोटेड बाय आईएफसीआई? आईएफसीआई ने प्रमोट किया था एनएसई को, नेशनल स्टॉक एक्सचेंज को. इट्स अ वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन, अगर ये आ गया पेपर में तो फंस जाओगे. विच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग एक्ट्स ट्रांसफर्ड रेगुलेटरी पावर्स ऑफ हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनी फ्रॉम एनएचबी टू आरबीआई? देखो, जो हाउसिंग फाइनेंस कंपनीज का रेगुलेटर था 2019 से पहले वो एनएचबी था. ठीक है, बट एनएचबी की ये पावर को डिसॉल्व करके किसको दे दिया गया? आरबीआई को, to the RBI Amendment Act of 2019. Which committee recommended the phasing out of DFIs? Narasimhan Committee in the year 1998. That is also called as Narasimhan Committee 2. Narasimhan 2. 1998 में Narasimhan 2 बनी थी. Clear है? Consider the following statements about NBFCs and identify the correct statement. NBFCs are registered under Companies Act 1956 or 2013. Absolutely correct. They provide loans, advancements and investment services but cannot accept demand deposits. भी ठीक है. NBFCs are the part of payment and settlement system in India. No, they are not a part of payment and settlement system that constitutes UPI, NEFT, RTGS. They are not the part. Deposit insurance facility of DICGC up to rupees 5 lakh is not available to NBFC depositors. Yes. In fact 1997 के बाद से RBI ने NBFC deposit taking NBFCs का लाइसेंस देना ही बंद कर दिया. ठीक है. 1, 2 and 4 is the right answer. Consider the following statements about registration of NBFCs and identify the correct statements. Every NBFC must obtain a certificate of registration from RBI. Yes, they have to. They have to. They must obtain a minimum net owned fund of 10 crore effective 1st October 2022. Correct. The net owned fund requirement for all existing NBFCs must be met by 31st March 2027 जो existing है. And the cooperative credit societies are regulated by RBI for deposit acceptance. Cooperative credit societies are not regulated by RBI. These are regulated under the state laws. The right answer is 1, 2 and 3. With reference to deposit taking NBFCs, consider the following and identify the incorrect statement. They must hold a certificate of registration from RBI authorizing deposit acceptance. Yes. They must have a minimum credit rating of BBB or above. Yes. They can accept deposit up to 1.5 times. Up to 1.5 times their net owned funds. And maximum interest rate permitted on deposits is 10.5%. No, it is 12.5%. This is also incorrect. The right answer is option C. Which of the following is not one of the primary business of an NBFC? Providing loans and advances? Yes. Investing in shares, stocks, bonds and debentures? Yes. Deals in sale, purchase or construction of immovable property? No, they can't deal in such sale, purchase or construction. Engaging in leasing and hire purchase activity? The correct answer, my dear friends, is option C. Consider the following statements regarding RBI registration exemptions and identify the correct statement. कौन-कौन registration से RBI के exempt माने जाते हैं? Merchant bankers and stockbrokers registered with SEBI are exempted. Yes. Insurance companies regulated by IRDAI are exempted. Yes. Nidhi companies are exempted from RBI registration. Yes. Chit funds regulated under the Chit Fund Act 1982 are exempted. All of these are exempted because these are already regulated under one or the other act or by any other regulatory organization. जैसे insurance companies are already regulated by IRDAI, so they don't have to register with RBI. The right answer is 1, 2, 3 and 4. With respect to deposit terms and interest rates applicable for NBFCs, identify the correct statements. Interest may be paid or compounded at intervals no shorter than monthly rests. Permitted deposit tenure minimum 12 months होता है and maximum 60 months होता है. So this is incorrect. They are prohibited from accepting on-demand repayable deposit. Okay, so 1 and 3 will be the right answer. Consider the following statements about fair practice code for NBFCs and identify the correct statements. Loan application must be simple and preferably in local languages. Borrowers must receive sanction letters with all terms and conditions. Recovery agents must follow a code of conduct approved by RBI. Yeah. Security documents must be returned by NBFCs after loan payment. All of them are absolutely correct about the fair practices code of NBFCs. Consider the following statements about Ombudsman scheme for NBFCs. It is integrated into RBI Integrated Ombudsman Scheme 2021. It covers issues like delay in disbursal and hidden charges. PICs and IDF NBFCs are excluded from its coverage. Yes, they do. The appellate authority under the scheme is RBI Deputy Governor. No, it is RBI Executive Director. The right answer is option A. Consider the following statements regarding regulation of NBFCs. RBI is the primary regulator of most NBFCs. Correct. SEBI regulate NBFCs engaged in capital market activities. Yes. Ministry of Finance regulates chit fund across the states. नहीं. Ministry of Finance जो है निधि कंपनी को रेगुलेट करता है and chit funds, as I already told you in the beginning, it is regulated by Chit Fund Act of 1982 and some other state laws. IRDAI regulates insurance based NBFCs. Of course it does so. The right answer is option C. Which of the following types, NBFC types, must have at least 75% of assets in infrastructure lending? Infrastructure finance company must have at least 75% of assets in infrastructure lending. Which NBFC must have more than equal to 90% of assets investment in group companies and does not trade them? It is core investment company. ये types of NBFCs याद करके जाना, उनकी जो भी investment thresholds होते हैं या asset thresholds होते हैं, that is very important. What percentage of turnover must mortgage guarantee companies earn from mortgage guarantee businesses? It is 90%. ठीक है. Which year saw RBI adopt a policy of restricting new NBFCs from accepting public deposits? So as I told you, In the year 1997 RBI debarred any deposit taking NBFCs, मतलब RBI ने बोल दिया कि अब हम भैया किसी भी तरीके का लाइसेंस एनबीएफ डिपॉजिट टेकिंग एनबीएफसीज को नहीं देंगे, ठीक है, क्योंकि डिपॉजिट टेकिंग का जो काम है वो बैंक्स का रहेगा, एनबीएफसी उसमें कुछ नहीं करेंगे। क्लियर? Which body regulates housing finance companies after 2019? It is of course RBI. Option C. Which year marked the nationalization of life insurance in India? Life insurance in India, my dear friends, was nationalized through the LIC Act of 1956. LIC Act of 1956. The correct answer is option B. What was the initial FDI cap when private players were first allowed into insurance in 2000? That was 26%, and now it is of course 100%. What does insurance penetration measure? Insurance penetration measures premiums as percentage of GDP. It measures premium as percentage of GDP. In which year insurance repository was launched by IRDAI to digitize the insurance policy? It was launched in the year 2013. And what is the purpose of an e-insurance account? तो जैसे हमारे पास डीमैट अकाउंट होता है, डीमैट अकाउंट होता है फॉर इलेक्ट्रॉनिक शेयर्स, उसी तरीके से ई इंश्योरेंस अकाउंट है फॉर होल्डिंग द इंश्योरेंस पॉलिसीज डिजिटली. And the last question for this particular class: which act consolidated insurance regulations in the year 1938? It was through the Insurance Act of 1938 that the insurance regulations regulations were consolidated. The right answer is option C. Alright, my dear friends, that's it for this particular class. I hope all the questions and their explanations are clear. Sale is going on. If you want to go for it, just go for it. Now, if you want to ask me anything, please ask your doubts. Otherwise, give me a thumbs up. चलिए, कोई डाउट्स है, कोई दिक्कत है, कोई परेशानी है तो पूछ लीजिए. अदरवाइज गिव मी अ थम्स अप दोस्तों. आई होप द प्रिपरेशंस आर गोइंग वेल. और आपका एग्ज़ाम है तो अच्छे से आपने आई होप प्रिपेयर कर लिया होगा. एंड अब जो भी टाइम है उसमें बस रिवाइज कर लो आप लोग. दैट वुड बी गुड इनफ. एंड ट्राई करेंगे कि एक अटेम्प्ट में एग्जाम निकले. अननेसेसरी 3-4 अटेम्प्ट देने का कोई पॉइंट नहीं है. एक काम है उसको करके ख़त्म करते हैं और उसके बाद आगे बढ़ते हैं. ठीक है, चलिए, लेट्स वाइंड इट अप. आई विल सी यू इन द नेक्स्ट क्लास. गुड बाय, टेक केयर एंड गॉड ब्लेस.